Welcome to Life Mastery for Women, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality with mind mastery, emotional management, and meditation. Welcome to today's podcast. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you living the dream during wakeful state. If you're not living the dream during the wakeful state, then it is my intention that in today's episode I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. So today I want to ask you something. And maybe this is just me. I hear only a couple of clients talk about this, but it really hits home with me because it happens often enough in this repetitive state. But it is like feeling like you're living in a nightmare. And I don't mean like your outside world, like you're going through a divorce or you're grieving over the loss of somebody. Those are definitely feels like that nightmare state. But this is like there's something just inside of you that feels like you're lost, that feels like you're in this nightmare and you don't know how to get out of it. Well, this has happened to me several times throughout my life. And upon doing a bunch of reading and research, because that's pretty much my life is research and reading, I come across a problem and I just research the absolute crap out of it and find other people who have experienced this and that maybe they would shed a little light on it. And I'm starting to understand. So I've done a lot of work on the chakras and I talk a lot about energy work. I mean, that's pretty much my work, right? Is tapping into this unseen energy to help lift our spirits. And we are in the physical world. So you are listening to me through your ears, which is anchored in the physical world and allows you to interact with the things around you, your experience, your household, your job, your family, the planet, money, products, stuff like that, that allows you to what seems like enjoy the stuff around you. But there's this whole bigger part of you that is your energy. And you can call it whatever you want, your soul, your spirit, God, your chakras, you can call it anything you want. But there's this bigger part of you. And when that bigger part of you is not in harmony with the physical part of you, you feel this discord in your body. And that discord is that resistance, that pressure. And that resistance and pressure that you feel is like this dissonance. It's this disconnect between the physical you and the spiritual you. The spiritual you is always beckoning you to move forward. It's always sifting and changing through the world and saying, hey, go this way. Hey, get a cell phone. Hey, get a computer. Hey, buy a house. Hey, start a family. Hey, switch jobs. Hey, get a new girlfriend or a new boyfriend. Hey, let's have kids. Right? And it's always as it's out in the world, it is pushing you to expand. It is always seeking expansion, which can be great. So life always has this thrill, always has this excitement to it, but also a pain in the ass because you're always going. You're always moving. You're always growing and changing and shifting. But you might not always want to go. When you don't want to go, and you're just like, I just want to settle into this space. I just want to relax for a minute. It's like you're on this really long train ride or a really long boat ride, and you're just like, oh, while we're out to sea or we're out in the country, I just want to relax. I just want to sit here and enjoy the scenery. And the spirit goes, nope. The body wants to do that. The body is always seeking rest and comfort and relaxation. And the soul, the spirit part of you, the energy part of you is like, let's go. Let's move. Let's shake things up a bit. Come on. come on, let's go. It's always like this. It's like this 5-year-old kid that just wants to explore, that is full of curiosity and life and excitement. And you're like, oh, but if I could just sit here and take a nap. And then the 5-year-old says, let's go for a walk. Let's go buy a new TV. Let's go on a boat ride. Let's go visit Paris. Let's go on adventure. If you don't go, not saying that you always have to listen when it says, let's go to Paris, and you just rack up your debt and go out, go to Paris and always go with what your spirit says. But your spirit is always moving, always wanting to expand, always want new experiences. And if you don't go with the spirit, if you are stuck in your life, you're in a relationship that doesn't bring you joy, not contentment, not satisfaction, not just mere, it's okay. It's joy. If the relationship doesn't bring you joy, if the job or the career and your financial situation doesn't bring you joy, if your life surroundings, your house, your car, the property that you live at doesn't bring you joy, and it doesn't have to be joy all the time, but if you stop and you look around, you're like, yeah, none of this brings me joy, then it is up to us in the physical realm, in the physical world, to start moving, to start going, what can I do to bring more joy? Now, this brings me back to this nightmare feeling. And it's an awful state, which is why I kind of have this solemn tone about me, because I resonate with it so deeply that sometimes it just feels like you're going crazy. It just feels like, what is going on? Like, why am I feeling this way? Well, here's why. When we are experiencing low vibration energy, which is down in the lower chakras, which are the first 3 chakras, the root, the sacral, and the solar chakra, they are based in the lower part of the abdomen and the base of the spine. They are anchored in the physical world. Those chakras being anchored in the physical world are full of what we call survival emotions. Survival emotions. So these are like primal emotions that would help you to survive out in the wild. So it's anger, it's jealousy, it's hunger, it's lust, it's like this oneness, like this selfishness. That's what I was trying to come up with. Selfishness. It is all about you. And it isn't until we start expanding outward when we get into the heart chakra. It's about opening the heart. And if your heart is not open, if your heart energy is not open, it is really hard for you to connect with other people. It's hard for you to contribute. It's hard for you to give back. You live a very selfish, kind of a self-absorbed life because your energy is down in those chakras. Here's the thing. If your energy is low in those chakras and you are living in a state of survival because you are so anchored in the physical world, that creates such dissonance, such discord from your energy body to your physical body, your emotional body. It creates such discord that it creates the sensation of a nightmare. When I learned this, and I've learned from different resources, like I go out and I read books and I study it and I Google it and I YouTube it and I find these people, these other people that have learned more than me, they're on different paths, but they're throwing this information back, and I pull it from all of these different resources, and I'm like, it starts to paint this very clear picture. So when I am feeling that way, when I'm feeling that sense of like this nightmare state, that's when it's up to me to start doing something different. I have to create emotions that are in the higher chakras. Now, don't get me wrong, your lower chakras also serve a purpose, but they are anchored in the physical world. Everything about the lower chakras is about your physical experience. When you get to the heart chakra, that is the bridge between the physical chakras and the spiritual chakras. Everything above the throat, the third eye, and the crown, and your star chakra, which is the 8th chakra that's above the crown, all of those are anchored in the spiritual realm. That's your spiritual, that's your manifestation, that's your connection to source, where you came. That is your connection to God. That is your intuition. You're instinctual, but you're other instinctual, not your instinct, which is down in the root chakra, which is like fight or flight. This is instinctual, like which way should I go? More like intuition. Okay, this is like your higher intelligence, where the lower chakras are your emotional intelligence. Okay? And they all serve a purpose, and they can all be balanced, and they all serve us in the physical, and they all serve us in the spiritual space. But when we are stuck down in those first chakras, and we are not serving anyone else but ourselves, that's when that nightmare state happens. That means you are spending way too much time there. That means it is time to get into a meditative state and start loading the subconscious mind with the pleasantries of higher energy feeling states, like joy, happiness, love, gratitude. That is, and empathy is another really good one. Compassion. When you start bridging the two together, the physical and the spiritual, and you meet right there at the heart chakra, that's when things start getting beautiful. When you are contributing to society, when you are contributing to others around you, you are adding to the community. You are adding to your family. You are adding to the culture that you're a part of. You're adding to other people. Okay? When you're not adding, you are basically subtracting. Now, this isn't to say that you're not adding to yourself in some degree. You know, when you are self-care, self-love, all of those things are very, very important in taking care. And this is a perfect way to kick off the new year as we are wrapping up 2022, is getting into the state of self-love and self-care. You can only love another person to the depth in which you love yourself. Now, when you're in that nightmare state, that is not a time to talk about the problem. That is not a time to try to remedy the situation and try to solve the problem. That is a time to turn inward, not to attack yourself, but to turn inward and say, how can I love myself? And if you can't say those words, that's a big problem. But if you can say, how do I like myself from where I am right now? What can I do? Who can I become? What are some things that I can engage in right now that will get me to a place where I like myself? Because remember, it's about incrementally moving up the line. It's about changing the way you talk to yourself, the way you feel about yourself, and the things you do for yourself. These are amazing tactics, but the biggest problem is that this all sounds great. Thank you, Jen, for motivating me. I'm going to go about my day. And then you go about your day and you're like, what the frack? Like, why am I still feeling this way? Here's that nightmare state again. What did Jen say? Right? Always tune in, figure out what your number is, and work with yourself. Become a teammate. Become your best friend. That, my friends, is when life gets interesting, is when you like yourself, when you become your own best friend versus hating yourself. You cannot hate yourself into any other existence other than more self-hate, more loathing. And every time I say that, I always think of Jim Carrey when he plays the Grinch, where he's standing out on the mountaintop outside of his house, and he's just like, hate, hate, hate. Got the phone book. Hate, hate, hate. Oh, loathe. And he just goes on, and he's just so funny. And I just love the Grinch because he's misunderstood. So listen, that's just my thing for today. I want you to know that I've got your back, that I'm standing right here with my hand out saying, I hear you. If you are feeling in that nightmare state, please allow my words to wash over you to a place where you can feel loved, you can feel cared for, and you can understand you've got a friend and you've got a teammate over here that is supporting you, no matter where you are in your life. So please take some time to go inward and become friends with yourself, not on this mental state, not on this egotistical, selfish space. Like, oh, I do love myself. It is about this joy. It is about this inward state where you raise your vibration, you raise your energy up into the upper chakras, and it just feels joyful. That is my nugget for today. If you liked this episode and you look forward to future episodes and are really looking for a community to help support you with implementing the tools that we're talking about in this podcast, please consider joining our online sister community called Lady Rising on Facebook, where we focus on that spiritual support and connection, just like in today's episode. I hope you'll join us. Go to Facebook, type in Lady Rising, and tell me you came in through the podcast.